Welcome to SHOWstudio's Fashion Radio, the podcast and video series exploring the remarkable relationship between fashion and music. Every week, I'll be joined by fashion's biggest names and the talent of tomorrow as they share their 10 life-defining tunes and the stories behind them. I'm your host, DJ Fatsonia. Today's guest is the legendary author behind the generation-defining novel turned film, Trainspotting. His gritty portrayal of Edinburgh's heroin culture in the 1980s gained as much critical acclaim as it did controversy, cementing his status as a bold and uncompromising voice in contemporary literature. His stark depictions of life on the fringes of society across novels, short stories and screenplays with works like Filth, Glue and Porno have made him one of the UK's most influential storytellers. I'm proud to welcome my friend Irvine Welsh. How long have you been doing what you do?
Trainspotting was the first book I wrote, so that was me kind of properly getting on with it. But probably kind of since I was a kid, you know, you scribble and all that. And it's cool, I always like doing essays, writing compositions. It was that and art were the only things I was interested in doing, and sport as well, but nothing else. You know, I couldn't do anything else.
And what did you think when Trainspotting was you? Did you ever for 1 minute think it was going to become what it became?
Yeah, I think I had a fantasy about it. You know, I mean, I kind of you kind of have I think a fantasy of success in some ways. I mean, I thought that I carried that on from music because I tried to do music and I was kind of shit. I didn't have any kind of keyboarding or fretboarding skills, and so I kind of thought, well, it's never going to happen. And then when I wrote the book, I entertained the kind of, you know, the fantasy kind of came back that was going to be some big kind of celebrated best-selling novelist and was going to go.
So you manifested the world, basically.
I think it was just like, I don't think I manifested it. I think it basically just came along because I'd run out of ways to fail, basically, like, okay. You know. So I'd gone from being a serial failure in music to being an overnight success in writing, which was a strange kind of phenomenon for me.
You always been into music?
Yeah, music was the first thing that I kind of, you know, I think if you're kind of working class kid, you are, because you're not living in a council house, you've not got room for books. So that was the extent of it, you know. So music was always there. It was always much more accessible. So that was your point of contact.
What did you grow up listening to in the house? What did your dad always play in the house?
They were mad into, my mum was madly into Sinatra.
Really?
And she was just obsessed with Sinatra. So she had Sinatra on all the time. And the kind of, you know, the Sinatra-like kind of derivatives, Tony Bennett and sort of Matt Monro. And they went to see Matt Monro in the Ducat pub, the Birdcage. He had in Pilton, the big housing scheme that we lived in. They actually went to see Matt Monro. He was playing there, which was, you know, he just done From Russia with Love and the Bond theme.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And it was just this hot ticket in the scheme. You know, the Matt Monro is playing in the scheme pub, which was fucking nuts at the time.
Mad is that?
It was crazy. But they went and they had a sort of a great night. So I had all that kind of stuff growing up, these kind of ballads but my dad was madly into the Beatles and Elvis, basically. So I kind of, the early Beatles, they got a bit freaked, I think, when they went a bit psychedelic and kind of later on, you know, but the early kind of rock and roll mop top Beatles.
My dad was into Elvis and Jim Reeves and Roy Orbison, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I think that came from his dad, who was a very staunch Scotchman himself. So there was always music played in our house every weekend on a Sunday. You'd wake up on Sunday and there'd be music all day long in our house.
Because where we lived, like, everybody lived quite close. Like, my dad's brothers were close and all that kind of stuff. So everybody would converge in somebody's house, and you would have quite a sort of wild weekend and all that. And I was always fascinated. I wanted to get into that world as soon as possible. You know, the world of fucking drunken people shouting and arguing with each other. And
obsessed by it, right?
And you're kind of stealing their drinks when they're kind of, you know, they're a bit fucked up, so you're nicking their drinks and all that. And you're kind of, so you should be in your bed, but you're crawling under tables and chairs and all that to look at what's going on. So that world seemed to be, it was in the music. You can't sleep anyway because the music's so fucking loud, like, you know. So that world was always a big thing for me. It was always like you kind of you grew up inside a party in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, I said this to you before, but we have to thank you really for giving us you in in Trainspotting.
Right,
I mean,
yeah, the hospital.
That one was in my wank bank for many years. You McGregor.
Exactly.
Trainspotting. It was like, wow, where's this kid come from?
This is a grungy fantasy
It really was.
Wrote large for you.
Yeah, literally. That was like the highlight of Trainspotting. I couldn't tell you what the film was about. I was just focused on Ewan McGregor running around the streets. No, music has been a big part of every film and every book that you've written about. It's always there in everything that you do. Why is that?
Well, again, I think it's a point of entry into culture. I think for working class kids, but also I think that and it's the way that I find something that I'm writing about. It's like I think that the way that I became a writer and being immersed in house music, the two of these things were kind of it wasn't a coincidence because when I tried to write, there was something. The first drafts of Trainspotting, I was writing it in standard English, and it wasn't flying off the page. Then I was going raving, and I was getting obsessed with that 4/4 beat. And I was thinking, well, why not write it the way people speak? Because that kind of the Celtic language, that kind of sort of language in the pub, it's not a written down language, it's a performative language. It has a 4/4 beat, basically. So do that, and then you can start to build layers. And when I wrote like the Acid House, Maribou Stop, Nightmares 12th, I wanted kind of the effects on top of the 4/4 beat, So I wanted these visual kind of experiments with topography to layer on top of the 4/4 beat. So it was very direct. I wanted to replicate. I wanted to get people turning on the page and getting excited and I wanted to replicate the feeling that I had when I was raving, basically.
I love the fact that you're using the 4/4 beat. But as a DJ, I mean, literally, it's like 1, 2, but the 4/4 beat is like the fact that you've used that in your writing is pretty amazing. I never realised that. And
that's what
I get it a little bit more now.
Yeah, I'm wired into that. I'm kind of, and I come out of it sometimes. I come out of it to the 4/3 and do the waltz, like myself to do a bit of descriptive writing and to set a scene and all that, but. When the action's going, you find yourself in the 4/4 beat all the time. When you're trying to move something on, that's the way it is, and it's like, and it kind of, to me, a book should be like that. It should be like going to a party, going to a rave, and there should be a sort of a pathway through this kind of thing that you're building in intensity and getting towards that. I think. All art should try to replicate that kind of experience, really. It shouldn't be a static thing. You just feel one thing and then that's it. You stand there like a zombie for as long as you can. And then, you go home. It should be something that just I'm trying not to use fucking word journey because I hate it. The words that everybody uses,
but it's true though. It's got to travel. It's got to get you from one place to the other.
Well, I'm going to betray my kind of seafaring Port of Leith root story and say voyage instead. Use the word voyage instead of
You're so woke. It's definitely a voyage.
It's a voyage.
It's like when you go to we're going to talk about it in a minute, but with fashion, when you go to a fashion show, the anticipation when you walk in and there's silence, people talking and sitting down and you're waiting for the show to start. It's fucking such a passé, boring experience. It should be an experience from the minute you walk in. There should be the music should be playing in the background, or like 1, 2, 4 BPM. So it's like a heartbeat of fast and getting faster and faster. Just build up to that point of where the show starts. The clothes come out. Music and fashion go together in hand. Like music is a very big part of every part of my world.
Yeah,
everything that I do, music is music related. And I think when you bring fashion and music together, the real magic comes from those two worlds colliding, whether it be acid house, whether it be punk rock, whether it be new romanticism, whether it be any of these great tribes that we had in great eras. It's always music related.
Yeah, I think so. And it's like, that because it's such an easy connection to make. It's instant and you can't really... The great thing about music is you can't really negotiate with it. If you're feeling something You know, I know a lot of people will go into a club and they'll gin stroke and all that, but you've just got to have it. You know what I mean? You've got to go there and you've got to think, I'm fucking having this, I'm feeling this, I'm enjoying it. Like, you know, and you have to make that instant decision almost. I mean, that's what I loved about going to a club. You know, it'd be pounding and and there'd be a vibe and there'd be, and you think to yourself, am I going to be a fucking stiff-arse twat and stand there at the back of the bar, chin stroking and talking about kind of the guy there if he want as if he's Brian Eno, But am I going to be up there having it? You know what I mean? And there is no sort of contest.
You just hit the nail on the head by saying you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Because the ones that are chin stroking aren't feeling it, they're listening.
Yeah.
But there's a difference.
You're there to get rid of all the shit that's in your head. You're not there to fucking kind of have it sabotage your night out. Like,
and you are, that's it. From the minute you go there, you're that sabotagingness. Always like, they're not going to like this music. They ain't got what I like to drink. They don't like these people. And why have you even bothered going out? You
one of the this guy's a really good pal in our original kind of rave posse. It was everything had to be right. The music had to be a certain way. The clip had to be a certain way. The lights had to be a certain way. The pill had to be a certain type of pill, and it's like, And I just got fed up with this. I just started ripping the piss out. I said, "What conditions haven't been met?"
Yeah.
And it's like,
but those people are those cunts that tell you don't go out anymore because it's not the same.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Of
course, every time you go out, it's not the same. Thank fuck.
I think it's more of a London thing than the provinces because there's so much in London. People have got that kind of tired on way before they come into a club. It's like, impress me.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I did this a couple of weeks ago. I was back at Edinburgh and I played at Vicky McClure and Johnny Owens.
Yeah,
it's really, and it's like 2,500 people at the O2, and everybody's fucking having it. They're just determined. Like we've paid the money. It's the weekend, bank holiday weekend. We're going out, we're getting fucked up, we're having the time of our life, and you're playing these big anthems and all that. People are just loving it, and it's like, but it's like kind of, there was one of my mates who's like kind of very serious about his music and all that, and he's going, "No, this is like these
cheesy,
all these cheesy fat people jumping around." It's like fucking punching in the air. And I go, shut the fuck up.
Everyone there's having a good time, apart from you who's moaning about them having a good time.
So you're the guy who's in this pivotal position, telling everybody that their life's going to shit when you're fucking miserable as fuck. I did a gig on the Leith Dockers Club for Leith Dockers Club, right. And it was fucking great. So my mate organised it, and it was like all my old kind of buddies and the young team could come out. I thought that there's going to be this, between the old guys and the young team and all that, and they just got on like fucking like I was.
Do they still get on it? Do they still take pills and all that?
Yeah, they were all in it big time. Like, you get at all the festivals. Like you go to the dance tent, you see people. Maybe not. Maybe the last E they took was last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're taking it, but they're on it. Like they're having it. It's just suddenly it's just big. I mean, it's like all when I see a lot of my mates kind of from back home or from down here. Guys of my age, they all look the same. Basically, they're all like sort of. It's like going into the supermarket and buying a packet of McKellar sausages.
A line.
Oh yeah, and I just think like, fuck me, this is but suddenly you're getting hugged by all these guys that are kind of they're not the thin rakish guys that you could you're kind of like. Ugh. Getting your arms around them and all that, and you just think yourself, but this is kind of great in a way, But it's, I mean, it's, and I love seeing these generations of ravers going out, amazing. Like the multi-generation ravers, three generations together, man.
It's amazing,
fucking crazy.
It's like we used to have this saying in our little crew. Like, what's the difference between a straight man and a gay man? And it was 2 grams of coke and 3 M. That was the difference. They literally, give them 3 E's and that's it.
That's it.
They're batting for both.
Give them 3 E's. They're filing for divorce.
Right, this takes us on to what do you listen to lift your mood?
You know what? Roxy music.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I just do. I just love the fucking the. It's like everybody says, the first 2 Roxy music albums are kind of Brian Eno experimental albums, but I love Strandon. Most of all, I love country life, because every fucking kind of trend in music is actually in that album. Every subsequent trend, was in it. And I love it. I just love it just makes me feel good. The cover makes me feel great, and it just, I just feel fabulous. And sort of when I play Roxy music, and kind of going right through the stuff when they went all kind of disco nightclub kind of, love all that stuff,
Considering this is like a fashion stroke music podcast, we don't get enough Roxy on here. And
we should get loads of Roxy music.
We get a hell of a lot of the Bowie hour always. Everyone loves to go to Bowie, but it's kind of like there's an acquired taste to Brian Ferry with a lot of people.
Well, I think everybody hates him. Everybody hates him because he wants to be an aristocrat. It's a ridiculous thing to want to be an aristocrat. Either you are or you're not.
Yeah, right. Of course.
And to be aspirational, to be an aristocrat, seems a very strange thing to want to be. But again, it's like, put all that shit behind you. It's the music. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? You kind of, it's his music. Gary Glitter. Oh no, bridge too far. But it's like, let the thing that the person makes, the art the person makes. It's like kind of it comes from all these different sources and all these different places. Allow that to happen. Yeah. Allow people not to be just one thing. Allow them to have these different sources and all that. So to me, Ferry's a dog's bollocks.
I agree. I think that we need a little bit more Brian Ferry in our lives sometimes.
Definitely.
What's the most influential track for your childhood? And why?
I think "Love Me Do," the Beatles, because because I remember my mum and dad dancing to it, and I was a kind of wee kid and all that, and they picked me up and stood me on the sideboard so I could dance with them, and I just kind of, as I say, I just felt so much love in the house. You know what I mean? And I was just really enjoying dancing with them and being not quite the same height, but roughly the same height as them, being up close to the height. And it was just great. I just thought, that couple are very much in love, and they love me. They're bringing me into this, so it felt great.
Amazing, real happiness, right?
Yeah, you remember the bond. There's the bonding with people, and it's like, it's like kind of first girlfriends and all that. When you go up to the bedroom and all that, and you're fumbling around and you're playing music, and you're playing music, but you remember that kind of. You've had this album at school and all this kind of stuff, and you remember that sort of emotion when you kind of, you go to the record shop. It was either ours or band parts or for me at Edinburgh, and it was like you buy the album and you're thinking, am I going to get fucking mugged and get this bastard taken off me and all that? And you're bugging it, and you get it on. You got the sleeve notes, and it's just the best feeling. And when you get when you're sharing that with someone, when you've got somebody who's, you say to somebody to come over and all that, you're sitting there, it might be a girlfriend, it might be one of your mates or whatever, but you're just shouting that mad fucking buzz.
There's nothing beat that smell of vinyl when you walk into a record shop and the actual smell of vinyl.
Well, I remember during COVID, I thought, and I put this all up on Instagram. I'm going to sit down. It was great. COVID was great for me because I could just write. All my music pals were just going crazy. They were going up the wall because I couldn't get out. But I could just sit there and write with no distractions. I thought, I'm going to knock out loads of words here and loads of books and scripts and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a bit of vinyl and I'm going to play it at 5 o'clock. I'm going to knock off at 5 o'clock. I'm going to play myself this record that I've not played. And I'm going to play it as the artist. There's no Spotify shit. Just put it on the turntable. Then turn it over, and I'm going to read the sleeve notes. It's a way, the sleeve notes are like a photograph album. They're much better than a photograph album, because photograph albums back in, you've got some top of somebody's head or the side of them, and you're never in your own pictures as well, so you don't have. But this is great. As soon as it's like what we're talking about, that every single memory is evoked by that, And I was sitting there, I was just reading the sleeve notes, and I was just, and working and looking at all this stuff that we used to look about, who played guitar on this album, who kind of, who played bass in that, who produced this, who was the engineer and all that. And all that kind of nonsensical shit that you fucking was so passionate about.
You don't get that with Spotify.
No, you don't think it. You don't get engineered by Bob Clear.
No, you don't get nothing. You get a name and that's it. You're done.
Yeah. And it's just that tactile thing of holding it and listening to it, and that slightly kind of wobbly sound with the needle on the, almost like that burning sound, And it was just fabulous. And I was like, I'd be sitting there on my own, and I'd be like, kind of, I'd be just feeling really emotional. I'd be kind of like, I'd be kind of laughing my tits off. I'd be near to tears. I'd be like jumping around, and then I'd write about it on Instagram. Next day. That was a great little ritual I had during.
Also it's quite educational for people because as I just said, people don't have the quality of that anymore because it's on Spotify. No one's going to read anything. They're looking for a track. They'll stream it, and that's it. And it's on their phone. Never to be looked at again.
I'm liking the way that people are using Spotify now. And kids are starting to do this again. They're starting to buy vinyl again because they want to own shit. They don't want to fucking list on a phone.
We don't own it. Yeah. It's on your phone.
Yeah. But they're using it to find record music they like, and then they're going to the record store, tracking it, and buying it.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Great, yeah.
Okay, what songs do you have on repeat?
I don't really have songs on repeat. I mean, I have kind of certain albums that would on repeat. Like one of the ones that one of the albums that I really like. You remember like Lou Reed had Rock and Roll Animal and Lou Reed Live. It was the same concert thing, And it was just fucking great. And I like the intro to Sweet Jane on. Lou Reed's Rock and Roll Animal, which is brilliant. It's these two mad, kind of long, dueling guitar, kind of almost like overlapping guitar solos, and then it comes into the Sweet Jane riff, and he comes on to Cheers, and it's like standing on the corner. It's just fabulous. It's brilliant. It's the best version of it.
What's your favourite house track of all time, of acid house track?
I mean, I'm going to be really boring there and say Frankie Knuckles' Jimmy Principle, because that's the one that just...
It's incredible.
It's just like...
Look, straight away. It has... It's just... everything about that track is
it's just that build, that resonance. You're hooked into it and you think, fuck. And then it's like, And I mean, coming up on a pill when that's played, I mean, it's just like it's a transcendental kind of religious experience. Anybody who's not had the experience, I feel so sorry for them. They've not actually had that thing that's happened to them.
You can't explain it to people.
I mean, it's like, to me, it's like that track is like it's like that is to acid house what. Anarchy in the UK was to punk. It was the life-changing thing, basically. You listen to that and you know that things are never going to be quite the same for you again.
I play it all the time. I drop it into quite a lot of sets because for me it's one of those, it's a moment. It's not a song, it's a moment.
Yes,
and anyone that's had that experience that you just described will always have that moment. That as soon as they hear the first 5 bars, that's it. That's it. They're in that moment. And it fills people with so much happiness and your love. And that's it. It does what it says. And it's just, it's an experience. And that's that's music at its finest.
Definitely.
When it has the ability and the power to take you straight back to that point.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you couldn't see and your eyes shuttering. And, you ran to going away. Okay, what musician today inspires your style? Like, who would you say, out of everyone, really inspires the way you write or the way you live your life?
I think, I'm going to, I know you've had a lot of Bowie acolytes, but it's like, for our generation, it's inevitable because Bowie was like, going back to being kind of council house, because again, Bowie was like art school, a one-person art school for working class kids, because he was quite unique, an artist in that he shared all his references, and he was very generous about sharing all his references. Because from Bowie was that he's a sort of pathway into Iggy Pop and Lou Reed, the Velvet Underground. He's a pathway into sort of Luther Vandross and soul, and kind of he's a pathway into Kraftwerk and krautrock and all that. And he was also from my point of view, he turned me on to things like William Burroughs and Ginsberg, all these beat writers, and so everything was every reference and idea, everything that he absorbed, he gave it out again, which was an incredibly generous thing to do, because most artists are quite, I found this, I'm keeping this, and I'm going to see what I can do with this.
Yeah. He
just flung it all out, because he was confident that the unique lens that he had, that anything he filtered through it would be changed, Yeah. So I think Bowie is he's just massively influential in everything that I do.
And also the thing about Bowie is just there were so many changes within him, in the sense of, okay, it was such an addict kind of performance, in the sense of it did a look, it did a sound, and then it had to move it on.
Yeah,
it was never stagnant. It was always moving. It was always
just
progressive.
Completely restless about going so far, basically. Yeah.
And so I got asked this question the other day, so I'm going to ask you, because it was an easy one for me. So when you grew up listening to Elvis and Love Me Do and all of those amazing tracks, how do you go from that to being the advocate of house music and moving into it? Pretty easy question to someone like me to answer, to someone like you. I want to hear you answer it.
I think it's just that it's like there's a vibe in there, isn't there? It's just you're sensing a vibe, and it's like Dave Beer from Back to Basics, a really good.
I saw him actually. I had a really good time with him. Yeah, I understand a word he was saying. He's worse than ever.
But Dave's a good mate of mine, and it's like, and we're both obsessed with Elvis and all that. And a lot of people from the house era don't kind of get, what the fuck, why are you obsessed with Elvis, And there's just something about it, it's like, Elvis was just fucking cool, and he also and Elvis made 32 movies, which was absolutely incredible, and they were all pretty shit, but he made 32 of them, and I think he only has something like 30 albums, but he's he's known as this singer, and he's but it's quite an amazing way to hit the entertainment industry, that you have a film of the album almost, and they were like that, right? Even some of these films like Clambake were just to promote the album, and the album was was promoting this film. The film was terrible, but it was but he was in it, and he was singing these songs in it. And
it's like music, an early form of pop video,
music video before its time. He was the artist that kind of did that, and then. You had somebody like Bowie, and you had somebody like Madonna, who was the first video artist, basically. And then you move into house music, and you have to see all these things as a sort of as a lineage and part of the same thing. And you can't be, you kind of, it's like, if you look at every kind of genre of music, the very best of it is fucking brilliant. You look at the very best of. We all have our preferences, but the very best of classical music is brilliant. The very best of country is brilliant. The very best of blues is brilliant. The very best of house, the very best of techno. Of course, there's a lot of shit that's replicated and passed around.
Of course,
but the essence of all that stuff, and that's, I think that's to me is like the sort of from Elvis to Frankie Knuckles, is basically that quality thing. It's like that insistence on doing something that's really exciting, new, fresh, vibrant, and has that kind of and it is done well.
Okay, that takes us into the next question, which we normally ask about catwalk shows, but I'm not going to ask you about catwalk show today. I'm not massively catwalk au fait. I've been to some of Hoggy's shows, and I've got my friends Danny and Annette Felder. I've got their fashion label, so I go to their shows in Miami, and Arthur Baker, who's married to he's married to Annette. He opens at we talked about that interface with music and fashion and how it works. And Arthur, surprisingly, who's not the most fashionable man on the planet,
Like, I hope he's a great.
Well, he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
Well,
he's niche. Let's put it this way. But Arthur gets that kind. He has to, when he plays, he has a feel for it. I mean, to me, the ultimate catwalk song is Duran Duran, "Girls on Film."
It's, we've not had enough Duran Duran on this podcast either. They're kind of like, I think it's like people are scared to mention Duran Duran. I think Duran Duran are fucking amazing.
Fucking amazing. They are amazing. They had that. They had a strange, because we were just this big pop hits band, and then they sort of vanished, and they came back and had the sort of renaissance. But I remember going to see Duran Duran in a free concert in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco when I was living in San Francisco. It was sometime in the 2000s and all that, when they couldn't get arrested, basically. Like, it was like the pop kind of part had died, and they'd been kind of in the doldrums, and they were fucking brilliant.
Amazing.
They were just absolutely mesmerizing.
I love Simon Le Bon.
Great.
Simon Le Bon, all of them are just, they had this energy. And when Girls on Film came out, it was a force to be reckoned with, and it still is. It's one of those tracks that you hear and just think, it takes you straight to that point again.
Yeah.
And what's the most important song in your life? Good question.
The one that I can think of that actually did change my life was "Anarchy in the UK" by the Sex Pistols, because my aunt lived in West London in Southall, and I used to go down there for the summer holidays, and I started this apprenticeship, and I heard that in Edinburgh, and I heard "Anarchy in the UK." I thought, no, I've got to go to London. I can't, I just have to go, And my mum was like, "Oh, your apprenticeship, son, it's hard to get your, what do you mean?" I have to go, have to, And, it's like, so it was just one of these moments, and it was, it was like the Acid House moment with Frankie Knuckles, Jamie Principle. But I think if going further back than that, I think Bowie's "Life on Mars" was like, it was just, it was a jumble of lyrics which I didn't understand, still don't really now. But there was something about that that kind of lateral rather than linear mode of thought that appealed to me as a speculative kind of kid, basically wandering around and kind of hearing this song. It was almost like that. There's this world that's waiting for me that I don't actually have to understand it intellectually. I just have to be amazed by it. I just have to be kind of let it unravel emotionally for me.
Can you imagine, right? It's like, just for 1 minute, right? The amount of power and energy that Bowie had and has changed in so many people's lives and had the influence on so many people's lives. To have that, to have a small amount of that power, what that would do for someone.
It's mental, and I felt it. I mean, I kind of stood him up twice. I couldn't, I would have turned into a 14-year-old girl, basically, and and I thought, like, keep him as a god, keep him as a godlike figure. People, and it's like, and everybody, like, our friends with Iggy Pop, and, he was say, like, "Irvine, you're crazy. Do you love David? We would love you would get on like a house on fire." And I go, "No, I want him to be this iconic godlike figure. I don't want him to be a nice, kind Englishman." Basically. So it was the first time I was like, it was when the Trainspotting film was in America, and he was presenting it. It was launched in New York. I was sitting in the Windsor bar with my mates Paul Reekie and Liverpool Sean. We're doing the pub quiz in the Windsor bar with all these guys with chunky pullovers, civil servants with chunky pullovers, and we would be taking these ecstasy pills, and it was like and the guy says to us at the end, "You've not just got the lowest score of the night, you've got the lowest score since the pub has been born, which is 10 years." We just kind of went in, And I said, I've stood up Bowie, guys. I should be in New York and all that, And Paul said, "Let's just get fucked up on easy." Find a bar. We found a bar where the pub quiz was on. And the second time was a Glass Spider tour, and he, he got in touch and said, "Let's go to the." I was going to the gig as well, like he goes, meet you in the ubiquitous Chip restaurant, and we'll have a meal and all that. And I was like, no, I can't. So I called in sick, basically, like, and I was sick, but, But I did, I was genuinely feeling shit at the time, but I was glad, because...
Do you think it was a fear of, just being disappointed in
I think
who
the
you
fear
were?
of being disappointed, I wanted him to be, I wanted him to glow.
You wanted him to be a superstar, you wanted him to
glow, I wanted him to be
floating.
hovering and...
Yeah, of course,
and
he needs to float, right?
and casting spells on, and sort of... And I just, it was just that, I thought, keep him as a god, keep this unrealistic expectation that you have of him. You've got to have them. I don't want to, I've kind of, I idolise Iggy Pop, I still do. He's a great guy, and he's a really witty, intellectual, smart man and all that. But I just thought, I just want Bowie to be this iconic figure. I don't want to go to him and say, I don't want to sit there and say, see when you did, Scary Monsters, who do you think the best guitarist was? Was it Chuck Hammer or Carlos Alomar or was it, or Robert Fripp and all? It's like, I just would have made a total cunt of myself.
You know that.
And it's all, and it's like, it would have been tough for him. It would have been a tough thing for him. Give him his dignity, let him have this fucking idiot kind of sitting beside him.
Because how many idiots do people meet in their lifetime?
Millions, he doesn't need another one,
No, you know that. But the next question is, what are you wearing? And you've already told me that I love the fact that you've got a Stolen Goods t-shirt on. Because you're actually wearing Stolen Goods today, aren't you?
It's Stolen Goods. This apparently was lifted from Paul Weller's house. I don't know if and it's like, but now that you've kind of put your first comment is Paul Weller wouldn't be seen dead in a jacket like this.
Fleece.
Right, yeah.
Fleece.
Even back in the day. So I don't know. We'll have to see if Paul.
It's
can
not
verify
screaming
that.
style cancel.
It's not. It's not.
It's not singing. It's more
No,
screaming.
I guess
Just
would there be one moment when he was being ironic, maybe, and kind of picked up something like this, I don't know, slight modish kind of.
Maybe someone left it at his house.
That sounds a bit more on the money, like.
The gardener or the plumber or something left it there. Do you want to go back? Because they're embarrassed.
I think we'll settle on Paul Weller's plumber.
All right, we'll stick to Paul Weller's plumber. And the Stolen Goods t-shirt.
Stolen Goods are the Italian disco label that I've got my new single "How No" out on,
I love the plug there thrown in there.
And shamelessly,
Best music video in terms of fashion.
Is
it going to be another Bowie?
Maybe fashion.
That's a good one.
Yeah. The Bowie video that I really always enjoyed was the Boys Keep Swinging one, when he has this sort of, he has the kind of Lauren Bacall and the sort of, he plays all these different, he drags up 3 times and
amazing, right?
And that, that thing with the lipstick kind of.
Yeah, and he had the hair that went like that. The demi wave.
He has that. He has that kind of he's just really immersed in this mind with the stick and all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, what year was that?
That would. Boys Keep Swinging would be 79.
And I mean, doing drag in 1979 in a video. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But it's such a mainstream artist. Like
people can't do that now without getting bricks thrown at them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So a minute ago you mentioned you got a record out. I mean, so how many more strings are there to this Irvine Welsh bow? It's like you doing music. Is it just a natural progression of what you do? Yeah,
I mean, I don't. It's like I've never kind of. I don't really see myself as a writing guy or a TV guy or a music guy or a kind of.
You just serve, right?
Yeah, it's just we've had the label for 2 years. Jack Said What now, and it's moving into it's almost 2 years, and we've got all these we've got all a lot of the 90s people were brought back, and we've got a lot of really good sort of young kids. We've got like Luca LeBlue, a young guy in Brighton who's just done a remix of Arthur Brown's Fire, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. Yeah, it's fucking mental. It's amazing. So you get, we're sort of, we're doing pretty well. We've kind of kept this going for 2 years, and we're 30 songs out, 30 singles out, and 6 albums last year. We're going to do more this year. Yeah. My passions have always been storytelling and music, and that's sport as well. Boxing and football, I've been not particularly good at either, but I've always hated that sport art dichotomy. Where you have to be, where you say they designate you. They go, you're a sporty kid, you're an artsy kid. And I was both. I loved both. And I hated the idea that you were kind of pushed into one ghetto and all that. So I've always tried to try and follow the things that I've been interested in. I think the greatest gift that you can have in life is curiosity, is to take an interest in things and be, think to yourself, well, it's this here, I quite like this, I'm going to have a wee shot at this and see what happens. It's like the most interesting people I've found are the ones that have just got that kind of thing. They just think, wow, it's like, when I was a punk, for example, it was like as soon as it became like a cult, like a punk or a mod or a skinhead, I lost interest. And it's like it was an education for 6 months.
Suddenly got labelled, didn't it?
Yeah, it's an education for 6 months, and you learn about it, and then you move on to the next thing, and you move on to two-tone and stuff like, and you get a whole different education.
It's the same with Acid House. When Acid House suddenly started getting called Acid House. And suddenly everyone started wearing smiley t-shirts. It was like time for everyone to fuck off, basically.
Yeah.
We went and had that whole theory, especially in London. I love, when you meet people from Blackburn saying their names and all different people that they created Acid House. Yeah. Whatever part of the country they come from. Yeah, Acid House started in their town.
Yes.
And I love that theory. I love that thing, that understanding that's where it comes from, because it came from all over.
Yeah, it's an organic thing. Everything that changes is an organic thing. It's not like about, it's like there's certain catalysts and certain moments in time that you can think that, they help introduce it into popular culture. 100%. But it's people's hunger for going out and having fun that creates anything like that.
What song do you listen to getting ready in the mornings?
I listen to Colin Hay, Overkill, the acoustic version.
All right. Okay.
And Men at Work had Down Under, Overkill, Australian band. And I remember Colin Hay being interviewed, and I expected to, back in the day, I expected to have this Aussie guy talking about, and this guy with a broad Scottish accent talking about it, and because his family immigrated there when he was.
So he's Scottish then.
So he's very Scottish. He's got a very Scottish accent, and I never thought anything about it because I wasn't particularly a fan of Men at Work or Down Under, it wasn't my thing, And then I was living in Chicago, and I saw this thing that Colin Hay's playing a solo sort of gig, and my ex said to me let's go along and see this, because and I thought, well, it might make me feel more Caledonia. I was feeling a bit homesick, so it might make me feel a bit more connected to Caledonia. So Colin Hay came on playing this acoustic set, and he did that song Overkill acoustically, and it was fucking brilliant. It was just so much better than the track, the Men at Work track.
Yeah.
It was just like there was just another layer of emotion in it. It was a song about anxiety and depression and all that, and it just seemed to fly. To fly in that acoustic version. It was like he mesmerised the crowd, basically. I thought, this is fucking brilliant. So I play it occasionally, there's something very, as melancholy as you would expect, but there's something quite uplifting about it as well, when he's smashing that acoustic guitar and strumming it into, he's almost like trying to outrun his pain, basically, with it, So I really got into that track.
I love that. Okay. Well, if you could write a song with anyone, any musician, living, dead, who would it have been?
Well, I mean, it's tempting to say people like Paul Weller or Suggs or kind of, but a musician that I've always really admired, and I think would be great to write a song with, would be Vince Clarke, basically, because he's just always been there. You know, he's been a constant in kind of sort of electronic music, and he's done it
From Depeche Mode right to Yazoo and so many levels.
Yeah. And it's just like, and it's just always been that bit ahead of the curve, basically. Like
a ratio.
So,
and where does it end?
Yeah, so
it's just
So I think that if you sat in a studio with Vince Clarke, it would just be such fucking education and such an interesting experience.
I agree with you totally. I love that. We had someone on the other week who actually was talking about Yazoo, and it was the first time that had been mentioned on this podcast. And I went home thinking, why the fuck has no one ever else talked about Yazoo and Alison Moya and Vince? I think seriously, you know, it's masterpieces again.
Yes.
Everything. I love that. And what about wardrobes?
It would have to be Paul Weller because he has always turned out. You know what I mean? It's like sort of the you know everything that the well-dressed heterosexual man of different eras should wear. He wears it masterly and
incredible.
I envy it because I'm the opposite.
But his style, everything about him is stylish. He oozes style. What song would you have at your funeral?
You know what? Just to be a total cunt, it would have a very long one, like the Bowie's Bit of a Circle of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. You know, just you imagine.
12 minutes later,
Oh God, you know what I mean? Maybe the what I think would be a great one to actually have would be the Patrick Cowley mix of Donna Summer's "I Feel Love."
Wow.
It goes on for ages. It's an epic tune as well. You know, and it would be a great way to see everybody out. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to loop it, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
How long would your funeral be? Would you want a long funeral? Do you want everyone to cry?
Yeah,
sit there and fucking hate him.
Yeah, everyone sit there. Just make them feel awkward. Make them feel bad about it.
Right to the bitter end.
Yeah, just drag it out, like, you know. Have big projections of yourself, like pontificating and all that, like, you know.
That was my dream always, to do the video of telling people who I hate. What song represents where you're at in life now?
I think I'm kind of in a good place in life now. I think when you're in love, you're also in a good place, like, you know. And I think probably Smokey Robinson, "What's in Your Life."
Oh, wow.
And it's not one of his well-known tracks. It's from the album Warm Thoughts, which isn't one of his well-known songs, but it's not one of his well-known albums. But there's a song in it. It's like, if you play this song to someone, you know, you're getting romantic and the lights are going down. If they don't fall in love with you when you play this song with them, then they're fucking not worth knowing. Get them to It's just the most beautiful song. You know, it's the most beautiful romantic song about kind of falling in love, and it just melts me every time I hear this song.
I love that. You know, you're one of these people, right, that whenever you tell anyone that, oh, you know, I'm doing this with Irving or I'm meeting Irving or what, everybody's like, oh my God, I love Irving. I mean, I've been on, you know, the most other DJs, like everyone from different areas, fashion, whether it be, you know, just everybody. Whenever you mention Irv to them, they're like, oh my God, tell him I said hello. I love, how many, you literally know every person on this planet. And they all have the same respect for you. It's bizarre. Like, literally, I've never had anyone say to me, oh, Irving's a cunt. And
you've got to get back to Leith. Like,
I have to get him back to
You've got to see the ex-wife. You've got to get back to Leith.
No, but it's true. It's literally, everyone sings your praises. And that's a remarkable thing.
But you've told me I've been paranoid all these years for nothing.
But yeah, you know, we go out of our way to pretend that we're cunts. I do it all the time. But you know what? I'm not. And it's like that whenever, you know, I at the moment, since I've met you and I talk about you to other people, not one person's ever said, oh, I can't stand that cunt. And that's rare in this world. Everybody loves Irv. It's fucking remarkable.
This is the best fucking podcast ever.
It's fucking true. It's true. It's fucking remarkable.
This is the best podcast, the best way to end the podcast ever.
There you go.